Hello there everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to the Krista Chronicles, and today we are doing a super fun tag called #Deck Daylist, created by Imogen from Sapling Tarot. I thought this was just the most genius idea from them, so I feel like, and again, I could have totally missed some sort of tag or something, but I feel like for a while, or just forever, communally, we've been trying to find a way to do some sort of tag with music, but because of copyright and stuff, it's like you can't really play the music, so that makes it tough. And oh my gosh, Imogen just came up with the most fun idea. So the premise behind this is on Spotify, if you are on there, they have something called your day list. And it creates a personalized playlist for you. It changes. I'm pretty sure it could be more often, but I'm pretty sure it's morning, afternoon, night. You get a different day list. But the feature of it is that they give it these really fun, sometimes funny names. Oh, excuse me, my voice is going. And so, with this tag, I'm doing it very much in the way Imogen did, where I, throughout the week, maybe even the last 2 weeks, I don't know, whenever I just remembered, I went to my day list morning, afternoon, night, and took a screenshot of that caption, or the title and the caption, and I'm gonna have 2 for each. So 2 morning, 2 afternoon, 2 evening. Oh my goodness, okay. My voice was really going there, jeez Louise. Anyways, let's get right into it, starting with my first morning playlist, and I would love to have to trust myself to put the image on the screen, but I can't. So we're showing my phone, and my camera's probably gonna get so mad at that, but that's okay. So my first playlist I have here is called, oh yes! The Theatrical Theater Morning. You listened to animation and family-friendly films in the morning. Try some theater, Broadway, theatrical musicals, movie, and animation. So, this is a little bit skewed because I often just use my own Spotify for library programs, and there's 2 of them where I play music, and I always just go to like a Disney music playlist because I know that's just across the board gonna be fine to play for small children. So it's a little skewed. However, I do love me a good show tune, so I kept it because I do love listening to Broadway music. Okay, so the first deck I have for this category, of course, is the Dramatis Personae Tarot, because this is a deck, oh, it's so pretty, made with images of, oh, I can't think of the time period. Let's see if I can easily find that. They are actors, opera performers from the 1900s is what is featured in this deck. So when I saw that Theatrical Theater Morning, instantly I knew, I was like, okay, we've got to include this one because it directly has to do with the theater. And I love too that it's opera, because something about that feels like extra theatrical, extra dramatic. And I love when I'm using this deck to kind of keep that in mind. I don't know, I just think it's interesting. It's an interesting level to bring to it, because the Knight of Swords usually feels kind of like this, like, and especially like how this is sort of playing off, feels like this very kind of tough persona, like serious, down-to-business persona. But then when I think about like, oh, but this is taking place in an opera, it's a performance. I don't know, it just adds a whole other layer that I think is really interesting. as like the Emperor. Like thinking about like, okay, but this is from a performance. I don't know. It feels like it takes it to a different place. So, that is my first deck for Theatrical Theater Morning. That's the Dramatis Personae Tarot. Okay, and next up, I couldn't quite think of what else I wanted to do. But then I laid eyes on this one on my shelf, and it felt right, but you might have to follow me a little bit here. It's the Fantastic Menagerie Tarot, which doesn't have anything to do with performance. It's actually more so in line with like children's book illustrations. But what it kind of makes me think of, and where my brain went with this, was puppet shows. This deck totally makes me think of puppet shows, even though they're not puppets, they are anthropomorphized animals, but I think they'd make really good puppets. And I really don't know why, something about this deck just makes me think puppet theater. And when I, like, theatrical theater, I do think of like over-the-top drama, and I do think a lot of the facial expressions on these animals is very over-the-top, is very dramatic. A lot of the scenes are as well like that. Like, what's going on there? So drama. So drama. I just feel like there are a bunch of dramatic characters, and I could really see this playing out in one of those like beautifully crafted puppet theaters. So that is my second deck for Theatrical Theater Morning, and that is the Fantastic Menagerie Tarot. Okay, our second morning playlist is, come on, Royal Core Calm Classical Early Morning. You listened to instrumental jazz and hot chocolate, ? I don't know what that means. In the early morning, try some Royal Core Calm Classical, classical studying, violin, instrumental, and piano. I love, sometimes either I put on like a, what do they call it? Ambiance video while I am doing my morning reading, or I will put classical music on. I love doing that. So, Royal Core, Calm, Classical, Early Morning. Obviously we had to get medieval, but I wanted that, like, again, to bring that calm sort of vibe to it. So the first deck I have for this is the Royal Animals Tarot. Ooh, very anthropomorphic today, aren't we? This is kind of similar to the last deck I showed. But as the name suggests, this deck basically provides us with a royal court in the form of anthropomorphized animals. And I've got a lot of medieval themed decks, like things that I think would fit into that royal core, but I went with this for one of them because of the color palette. I don't even want to call them like pastels necessarily, because there are some pastel colors, but they're very saturated pastels. But something about it gives a very calm feel. The weather in this deck like feels very just even and mild. Like none of these pictures give off that it is too cold, too hot. It's something about the sky and the landscape makes me feel like it's just one of those like perfect spring days. And so I feel like the music that would be playing is very, very calm classical. So that is my first deck for Royal Core Calm Classical Early Morning. That's the Royal Animals Tarot. And the second deck I have is the Touchstone Tarot. And what is my reasoning for this? You know? I don't know. I think, too, I was really focusing on that calm aspect, because a lot of the other medieval decks I have, or like medieval feeling decks, I should say, use that straight up from the time medieval art, which is bizarre and chaotic, which I love it so much. I truly do. But it doesn't give off a very royal core calm, where this to me feels a bit more like that could be the case, especially since the borders here make it feel like framed images. It's almost as if we are walking into a museum gallery, which to me very inherently has a calming vibe, calming feel. Art museums always feel really, like they're usually kind of quiet because everyone's just admiring the artwork, and that's what this deck feels like it could be to me. So I'm not even so much focusing on the figures per se, other than like I think they fit that royal core theme, but the calmness comes from this feeling almost like if you put these up on a wall, it'd be an art museum. So I think it's perfect. I think it fits that theme perfect. So that is my second deck, the Touchstone Tarot, and that was my second morning playlist, Royal Core, Calm, Early Morning. Okay, on to our first afternoon playlist, which is very funny to me to see from like morning and evening kind of tends to be a bit of the same vibe, and then the afternoon is such a stark difference. Very funny. So the first playlist I have for the afternoon is, come on, Crash Out Pink Pilates Princess Afternoon, which the description for this I think got a little bit mixed up because it says you listened to classical and instrumental in the afternoon, so I don't know why that, I think something's wrong there. But anyways, try some Pink Pilates Princess, Brat Summer, Clean Girl, Crash Out, Female Pop, and Getting Ready. Love it. So it's very female pop centric. So fun. So the first deck I have for this might be pretty on the nose, but I've got other reasonings. It's the Pink Sugar Oracle, which I think is actually the only oracle I've brought into this. But I had to. Because if there's going to be a Crash Out Pink Pilates Princess Afternoon, obviously I have to bring out the Pink Sugar Tarot, Oracle, so sorry, which I've been loving so much. But the other reason I had to bring this out is a lot of the artists on this playlist, like there's Sabrina Carpenter, there is Charlie XCX, SZA. I know the creator of this deck, Logan, loves them too. And so when I saw the playlist title and then saw the playlist itself, I was like, oh, we absolutely have to show the Pink Sugar Oracle. 1, because pink, 2, because I just think Logan would appreciate the name of that, and the people included. Oh, there's Chapel Roan. So good. It's so good. And so it just gave me a good giggle and made me think of this deck, so I had to include it. So that's my first deck for this category. That's the Pink Sugar Oracle. And then my next, I had finding another deck was a bit of a challenge because it felt like it really needed to be something a bit more modern feeling, which is not my thing when it comes to decks. However, what I landed on is the Find Your Magic Tarot. And I don't really know why, but something about this deck feels a little bit Crash Outy to me. I don't know why. Sometimes I just feel like the guidebook kind of goes in that direction in the best kind of way. I love this deck so much. But I don't really know that I have any other good explanations other than it felt like it could fit into this Crash Out Pink Pilates Princess. It just felt like it could. Like some of the characters in here, I'm sure would love that. But it feels very, what am I thinking of? I don't really, I have no good explanations for any of this. It feels very kind of like Gen Z to me though. I don't know why. And that playlist title also feels very Gen Z coded, you know? And so I have no good explanations for this other than I think it worked. So yeah, that's my second deck for Crash Out Pink Pilates Princess Afternoon. And that is the Find Your Magic Tarot. Our second afternoon playlist is Nostalgia 2000s Thursday afternoon. You listened to 90s country and thousands country, really? Why was I doing that? Anyways, on Thursdays in the afternoon, try some 2000s throwback pop, millennial, nostalgia, bachelorette party, and iconic. Love it. So my first, we're going personal with this one, because all I could think of was like, okay, well, in the early 2000s, what was I doing? So the first deck I have to show is a Neopets Tarot, because that's what I was doing. I was playing Neopets. Maybe. Probably. I don't know. I don't know how old I was when I started doing that, and I don't really know what counts as early 2000s. But regardless, at some point before 2010, I started playing Neopets. And so this totally makes me think of that, like, anywhere between, I don't know, maybe 2005 and 2010, that sort of nostalgia where it was like playing on one of those big desktop computers, and like each house had one kind of thing, so it was me and my sisters all lined up, 3 chairs, and we had to take turns playing Neopets, but also we played so many other computer games on the CDs, and it was so much fun. And so, like, early 2000s, I instantly thought of this deck. One, because I love it so much. I love Neopets. But that's what I was doing, and so I had to pull that out. So, that's my first deck for Nostalgia 2000s afternoon, and that's the Neopets Tarot. And the second one I have here, I really wanted to pull out my Billy and Mandy Major Arcana, but I cannot currently find that. And I'm wondering if maybe, I don't know why I would have, I'm wondering if I put it with my Halloween decorations, because I put my Halloween decks with my decorations. So it could have just ended up there, which I didn't mean for it. But anyways, what I did pull out is the Extraordinary Incantations. And the reason I did, what this made me think of is when I think of early 2000s, the thing I instantly think of is that show Lizzie McGuire, which I love so much. And a key feature of Lizzie McGuire is that the show it was all real people, but there were segments where you got like this cartoon version of Lizzie McGuire was supposed to basically be like her inner voice and like what she was really thinking in some moments. And this deck kind of reminded me of that inner dialogue of the cartoon version of Lizzie McGuire. The art style like kind of could pass for it, but also the fact that the message is right on the card, it's very upfront, very to the point, and like I find that this deck really likes to call me out, and that to me feels so much like that cartoon cutscene, the cartoon cutscenes in Lizzie McGuire, which again, anytime I see early 2000s, my brain instantly goes to Liz McGuire, like all the clips she had in her hair and those like chunky orange shoes. And this deck really just made me think of that. So, that's my second deck for Nostalgia 2000s afternoon, and that is the Extraordinary Incantations Tarot. Okay, and now we are on to the evening nighttime playlist. So to start, we've got Dark Academia Piano Evening. You listen to classical and violin in the evening. Try some Dark Academia, piano, romanticized reading, studying, and classical. This is really highlighting, like, So interestingly, what I use my Spotify for, because this makes a lot of sense. I am someone, when I'm reading, I need some sort of like noise. Like I can't read in complete silence, so oftentimes I'll put on my noise canceling headphones and I will play, again, some sort of like classical music, but it has to match the vibe. Like at night it has to be a little bit darker feeling, so this totally makes sense. So the first deck I have for Dark Academia Piano Evening is the Terra Volatile Tarot. To me, this is like the ultimate Dark Academia deck. One, because I think it takes on that darker feel, but also because of the content of the deck. There is a lot of that, what do you call it? I don't know, there's some alchemy in here, if you choose to include it. What's the word? Like, hermetic symbolism, question mark? That's not right. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in here. That's all I got. Because there's that big guidebook you can get. There's so much information in there. And so it really, to me, like this deck always feels like something to study. Not that you have to by any means. You never have to do anything. And I'm saying that as someone who like really I don't do deck studies, but I think this would be a cool one to do that with if that's your thing. And I don't know, it feels academic in some way. Like whenever, in the fall, I had a real big, like, Dark Academia book reading stint, and this is the deck I would totally imagine being in any of those books. I do love it. So, that is my first deck, the Terra Volatile Tarot. And my second deck for Dark Academia Piano Evening, I am so excited about. It's my newest deck. So, spoiler for my new deck digest, but it is the new Lacrimosa Tarot. I'm hoping I said that right. The newest deck from Rose Bay Tarot, a deck curated and edited by Rose Bay Tarot. Oh my gosh. So I got this truly a week ago today when I'm filming this. I am obsessed. The way that it is like purposely made to look aged. You see how like the shades of black are all different? Oh my gosh, and it's just like on the fronts too, it's made to look kind of aged. Now this is Dark Academia, no? What is a definition of Dark Academia? Let's look that up. Because I'm feeling like this fits a definition in a certain way, but I can't think of it. Dark Academia is a literary aesthetic and subculture concerned with higher education, the arts, and literature. Okay, yes. That's what I'm thinking of with this deck. It's like I kind of wanted to get more into that, like higher education, but also the art references, which this, like the entire deck is art and art references. It actually comes with, I have it right here, a little fold-out pamphlet that is all the art references. So for every card, you get the painting that is shown, or like pieces of are shown. I just think it's just so beautifully done. I love everything about this. And I mean, again, an undeniable Dark Academia vibe to this. It feels very, again, academic. I was gonna say academic dark, that is just Dark Academia. But you know what I mean. Oh my gosh, I could look at this. Are you kidding? I love this so much. This is truly my new obsession. So, that is my second deck for Dark Academia. What? I closed out of it. What is it called? Jeez. Dark Academia Piano Evening. And that is the Lacrimosa Tarot. So beautiful. Okay, we are up to the last playlist. And that is Rainy Day, Slowed and Reverb Sunday Evening. You listened to Rainy Day and Dark Academia on Sundays in the evening. Try some slowed and reverb, homework, rainy day, relaxing, piano, and dark academia. So I really leaned into the like rainy day, slow, relaxing vibe with this. And like decks, which was I think like a whole other tag in itself or part of a tag, I can't remember. Where it's like ones you'd want to, no, it was a question in a tag. Decks you'd want to use on a rainy day. Anyways, my first pick for this is the Cozy Witch Tarot. To me, this is like the ultimate rainy day tarot deck. It makes me think of those like fall rainy days where it's like the air is kind of crisp and it's like you're slowing down from the summer. So when you've got that kind of rainy day, you just can curl up inside, not go anywhere, not do anything. It's the best. I love it. And this really makes me think of that kind of feeling. To me, this is such, I don't know, it's just, I think it's so cozy that it makes me think of that sort of day where it's raining outside, so you can kind of be in like sweatpants, a sweater, like reading all day long. If you can't tell, I love that kind of day so much. So that's my first deck. That is the Cozy Witch Tarot. And my second deck for rainy day, slowed and reverb Sunday evening is the Heartwood Tarot. Another one. This is such, I mean, I use this one so much, but it definitely feels like the perfect deck to use on a rainy evening. It feels like it could be a rainy evening in really a lot of this deck, or even like where it's currently raining or time, I mean, there you go, like right after it's done raining sort of thing. Like that feels like the evening after a rainy day. There's just so much coziness to this deck. But also where the sound of rain, how do I put this into words? Where it's not like a feeling of coziness per se, but the sound of rain feels like it comes through this deck, where there's a little bit almost, you know what it is? There's like a little bit of an eerie quietness to it, of like that's the only sound you're hearing. And I love that so much about this deck. There's a stillness to it. So that is my second deck for the rainy day, slowed and reverb Sunday evening. And that was my last playlist. This was so much fun. Thank you to Imogen for just putting this out into the world. I loved thinking about this. I just loved the process too of collecting the playlists. So much fun. But other than that, that's all I have for you today. So I hope you're having a great day so far, and I'll see you again very soon.